What's up guys, and welcome back to another Pokemon Diamond and Pearl Remakes speculation video, and we're looking at Sinnohan Forms, or whichever regional variants is probably the better name here. We're going to be looking at more further, different regional variants. In the first part of this little mini-series, we looked at the Gen II Pokémon that are present in the Sinnoh decks, or the existing Sinnoh decks, and thinking which of those could possibly get regional forms. I shaved a lot off, so I looked for pure Gen 2 lines and such, and a lot of people said, why would they give forms to people that were already in the Sinnoh decks, Pokemon I should say, that were already in the Sinnoh decks, instead of adding extra ones and giving those the forms. So what I'm going to do for probably a couple episodes is looking at regional variants for Generation 2 Pokemon that are not necessarily in the Sinnoh decks. So some of them might overlap, but you guys get the idea. In today's video, and possibly the next 2 or 3, we are looking at pieces of art and sort of speculating from there and working off of those from one particular deviant artist. In particular, of course, I shall make sure to link their gallery, their profile, down below in the description, and their name is Cool Pikachu 29. That's as much as I can tell you right now because I'm currently without internet. This must be what it felt like to live in the Stone Age. But we'll jump on and have a look at some Generation 2 Pokemon. Of course, all the art and further ones are, of course, visible on the gallery in the description below. But we'll jump on first. We're looking at Sentret and then Furret. So here is Sentret with some of its regional variants. Now, one thing to mention about these pieces of art is they are designed as regional variants in the term of before Alolan Forms came along. So we saw a lot of, for example, here you have obviously just a white Sentret, a grey Sentret, a dark Sentret, and I think the other one was, I can't remember what the bottom left one is called, but yeah, basically just imagine if Sentret was in different kinds of forest, like a snowy forest it might be white, if it was in a spruce forest it might be darker. So these aren't necessarily type changes, but we can spitball and go from there. So you see here Sentret with its normal form, 4 different ones. The white Sentret in the top left could definitely be something that would be based on it in a snowy forest as mentioned, and possibly become part ice type. Whether you can actually see that happen or not, because of course it's not really like it's got any icy features on it, who knows. But in terms of the grey Sentret at the top right, maybe a steel type. I don't want to go too far though, because as I mentioned, these are literally just, the types aren't changing in these designs, but we can spitball and go further. The bottom right, of course, the dark Sentret could definitely be a dark type. It makes a lot of sense, but we've seen that already with Rattata and Raticate, so probably less likely to do that to another rat. And in terms of the bottom left one, similar, maybe part rock type you could fit in there, and part ground I think would be a good idea for a Sentret form as well, because it's already based fairly on the ground, so maybe make a burrowing Sentret, something similar there. Furret could then extend that burrowing sort of theme. If we look at the Furret regional variants here, you can see similar basis, so we have white, grey, dark, and whichever the last one was called, and you can see here obviously the 4 of those. So again, possibly snow type, ice type for the white or snowy Furret. Maybe steel if you extended the grey one a bit further. Definitely dark possibility for that one, and rock, maybe rock or ground as a burrowing, because I mean Furret could looks like it could burrow anyway, so you could definitely spitball and go further from there. Of course, then the next line we have is some bugs. So first up then we have Ladyburst. So you can see normal Ladyburst surrounded by 4 different variants here. I'm not going to go too much into the naming of the variants, just their design, because of course the top right one could definitely become an electric type. Now we've seen that with Galvantula and Johto already, so probably less likely, but it's still possible I suppose. The top left one, and possibly the bottom left one too, look like they could become ground type. So currently Ladybird is bug flying, maybe make it a ground bug type and have it like a burrowing ladybird. So like that. And obviously the bottom right one could have some dark weedy in there with the bright spots, so we have a dark bug type, something along those lines. Of course, Ariados will then extend this further with the different regional variants we have. Not Ariados, what am I saying? Ladian will extend this further. You can see obviously the electric type possible with the black spots, ground type with these nice stripes, ground rock maybe, something like who knows, and obviously the bottom right one again dark, and even the bottom left one being a rock type. You just have to imagine these designs with a bit more extensions. So maybe the yellow Ladian has some electric sparkles around it, the dark one has maybe torn feelers sort of thing. Just to imagine and sort of extend that. These designs are really cool, but they are not based for type changes, particularly they're based for just very regional variants, and they could all be the same type. You just have to extend it a bit further. Then moving on to the second bug line, of course, we have Spinarak and Ariados. So Spinarak, you can see here, normal with 4 variants. In terms of the typing for these, there's not a huge amount. Yes, maybe the top one could be electric type again, but that's simply because of the yellow colouring. The top right one I could see as possibly being a poison type. Of course, normal Spinarak is part poison anyway, but you could have it be pure poison and really be a poisonous spider. And of course the bottom two are very similar. So the normal Spinarak, of course, you could have the same typing, maybe slightly different. Just take away the poison type, for example, have grass fit in there somehow as well, so about grass and then change the abilities around, have a furry spider sort of thing. And of course, again, this extends into Ariados, which you can see here. Top left one could definitely be electric dark, whether you'd want to keep some bug around, who knows, so maybe bug dark again, bug electric. Bug dark could definitely be a cool one for the top right, that's really obvious there. Poison dark, another possibility, and the bottom one's again very similar to normal Ariados, so you could maybe build on it with some grass typing maybe again. Imagine these designs are extended with different colourings and different additions according to the relevant type. I just felt like these designs were really cool, and maybe not quite like Sinnohan Form or Alolan Form type, but cool enough and diverse enough to extend into those different typings. Moving then further, we have Crobat, which is obviously not Gen 2 pure because we have Zubat and Golbat, but I felt like Crobat regional variant possible for a Sinnohan Form. Just have it, maybe dependent on the environment. So you see the top right one's got extra large ears, so maybe with Mount Coronet, if it evolves in that area, you could build on it from there, who knows exactly. The top left one definitely looks like a dark poison type. Of course, the Crobat's a bit weird here because you have flying types, so it has to really be a flying type because it's got wings. Also has to be a poison type since that's the whole point of the line, but maybe you could have a non-poisonous bat. So for example, the bottom right one, maybe a fruit bat, so maybe you take off the poison flying and you go grass flying maybe, I don't know, or pure flying, and it loses its poisonousness, who knows if that's a word, but it becomes a fruit bat and stuff like that and goes on from there. So that's a Crobat form. I felt that was pretty cool and worth highlighting. And then for the last line in this video, we are going to have Chinchou and Lantern. So Chinchou, water electric type. Here are 4 different forms for it. Now water electric, obviously again, is a very unique type. You'd have to completely strip out the electric type for Chinchou to have a form of it, a regional variant. So these 4 here, maybe not the best ones, but the bottom right Chinchou, maybe, because it has no yellow on it, so maybe it doesn't have to necessarily be that. But what I could see for Chinchou here, maybe based off one of the bottom designs, maybe not, would be a water psychic type. So instead of having the electric here, you have the maybe pink or purpley orbs, balls on the end of its feelers, and it's more psychic type based. Rather than electric in water, it's psychic and can manipulate the water to its own accord. In terms of removing the water type, probably less likely for Chinchou and Lantern since they are aquatic creatures. But in terms of adding a different type, so the top 2 here, you could maybe see as you could keep some electric type basis in there, but maybe change them around a bit. So the top left one here, maybe a water dark type, who knows, or a dark electric type. It depends how far they're willing to go. We have seen pretty far with stuff like Vulpix going from fire to ice. Of course, it's a bigger design vamp and really not what we're looking at here in these designs. Then look at Lantern, very similar. The top left one rather is more menacing. The bottom right one more psychic type based. If you were to bring in some purple there, even just leave it as it is. The bottom left one is really cool in my opinion. The 2 here, so it's sort of more ragged. So you could have it be the same type, but jazz it up a bit, I suppose. So give it some different stats, for example. That's one thing we could focus on here, having not much change in design, but the stats being really quite different, and slight changes to accompany that. But that's last Lantern here. So while these designs are really cool, they don't quite fit the Alolan Form mantra. They do in some cases, but others you have to extend them a bit further. So here with Lantern, if you were to want to have a water psychic type, you'd have to take this yellow colouring and you have to switch it out for a purple or a pink for really to have it to fit what we're trying to go for here. But of course, if you guys have any ideas for any of the lines covered today, so that was Centric Ferret, Lady-Ent, Spinarak, Ariados, Crobat, and then Lantern and Chinchou. If you have any ideas how those could be extrapolated into a regional variant with a different typing, or maybe something really fancy, let me know down below in the comment section. And of course, some more Sinnohan forms coming in the future. But for now, this is going to be it for me for today, so I should be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.